welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Have I got a treat for you? So two of my friends actually know each other, so we thought we'd all get together and give you guys a treat. I've got Ben, you guys know him as Skullcap SaVant, coming on. We're going to talk a little VSteg, and then the one and only Jenny Constantine is going to be joining us. So you guys buckle up, make sure you like and share this video. We'll be right back with some current events and a lot of woo right after this. So welcome back, Ben. Good to have you, Skullcap SaVant.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, and the one and only wonderful Jenny Moonstone, aka Jenny Constantine. We had a great time in Canada, and then you and Ben were talking, and he let you know that we do a show and invited you to join us.
Everyone forgot that we all knew each other for some reason.
Totally slipped my mind.
It's a small world, as they say. The darkness leaks out everywhere. So
now we're going to blend the analysis of tarot and steganography all in one. We'll take a couple of different angles on things. Huh?
Yeah, if you want to throw cards, Jenny, that's totally up to you. Like, I don't want to
yeah, you don't have to, but you can interpret the symbolism that unfolds anyway, just as if the tarot cards were there pretty well, I think. So
I'm more than just a tarot reader.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult to get away from that once that's, you know, how that goes. But I do want folks to know there is more to me than just cards.
For sure.
Not much more, but a little bit more.
I think there's a whole lot more. And that's one of the things I felt like when we were at the conference with Jean-Claude, you know, you and I like went down several rabbit holes, had great conversations about, you know, everything from the Waldorf Astoria kind of thing. And then your history with even like the alien stuff and the Putin stuff, and all of the crazy, wonderful talks that we had, and the history that you have, your knowledge of history and all of that. So I wanted to share some of that. I was excited that you're willing to join us today for some of that. So I think it'll be great. So Ben, you were talking about something that you caught on Twitter today. I totally missed.
Yeah, I wasn't anticipating talking about this. Well, I don't even think it's anything's but he's missing yet. It's in the event stream now, and it's unfolding, and we can analyze what it means, I think, is all I intend to show. There's not a ton of steganography in the V sense with this, but steganography in terms of this is something else that purports to possibly be a different something on the surface. It's ostensible is the term in the dictionary. Ostensible. So this is a Studio Ghibli is the meme for the day. This is as Lisa is pointing out, this is the Jew emerging from the grates in New York, and we've all maybe seen this clip, the real version of this from prior to Christmas, prior to even the election, I think, is when they found, you know, the bloody mattresses in the synagogue temples in that famous set of clips where, you know, you've got all the angry Jews throwing pews on one side of the room, and you know, the police officers are holding them back. That's what this is. But I don't think this actually permeated into the minds of the normie, because they had their corner of things that they were paying attention to. But what's weird,
one example, right? Because there's a whole set of these cartoons.
That's what I was just getting into. Yeah. So this is a palatable, more like playful, like lighthearted way to filter that same event with this Japanese animation style from this famous Studio Ghibli. So go to just Twitter, do this experiment for me, Lisa. Go to Twitter and type in Studio Ghibli and see what kind of images pop up here.
Okay.
because
You're gonna have to tell me what the spelling of that.
it's GHIBLI.
Just so everybody knows, we have Heidi Vandenberg in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Heidi
Oh, hi,
Vandenberg
Heidi.
is in the house. So
Okay.
everybody stop what you're doing.
Everybody
Heidi,
raise your hands in the air.
Joining us.
hands up in the air.
Yay.
Okay, so if you scroll down, Lisa, Studio Ghibli.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, cool. Look at this. So here's our first tranche of collection. These are actually just memes, but they've been these are famous memes, and they've all just been restylized today in this Studio Ghibli filter with AI. Okay, now the kicker with this though is that beyond just these generalized memes that people seem to be recreating in these Japanese animation ways, if you go back to the scroll and just start scrolling down, see what we find. Oh no, she hitched. She said this might happen on their internet today.
Oh no.
What happened?
No, you're fine. You're fine now. Okay, so keep scrolling.
Oh my.
So here we go. We've got like Elon. Okay, so we're starting to get into some of the more famous photos of just more recent history, right? If we continue to go through these, which I won't have us do today, because this has become kind of an explosive thing. There's the JFK assassination right there. Now,
but look who's sitting in the car. Right,
exactly. What are the details in the photo? This is what's kind of happening across the internet, where people don't know what photo all the photos represent.
Oh,
and then they're putting them, there you go. And then they're putting them into AI, and they're saying, AI, describe what this photo is. And they're doing this in a way that is a layer that's more occluded or obscured beyond looking at the actual photo. It looks semi-familiar. It might be something I've seen before. Let me go refamiliarize myself. And they're plugging this into AI, asking what it is, and getting these detailed descriptions. Not so unlike, I think, when Q got on the Chan boards and was asking questions and having the anons or the autists probe further. You now have the normie population, by way of these cartooned images, probing further into what they are. And most of them are trending toward suspicious style events, conspiratorial style events. So today, all of a sudden, we have normies looking into a more occluded, occult side of events they may or may not know very familiarly, but they're being probed to, whether this is designed or not is up for debate. But it's funny that it's happening,
Some of these are really wild.
Some of them are just memes, right? I mean,
but I can see why they do that. It makes sense why they would have real, like almost like a generic, like they're trying to hook people in with these memes that they're super familiar with and super comfortable with, and then bam, JFK assassination.
Right.
Boom,
do you get that sense too? This is just my impression of it. I haven't really done anything to look into anything other than kind of surface level. Wow, this is really interesting.
Well, look at this one.
Yeah, a really recent one, right?
Yeah.
Helicopter.
So it's or is he balancing silver?
Oh God,
that was what was
nice.
Yeah, because it was the fine silver that he was. That I kind of looked into that way.
I never.
So but it goes back to, you can't tell the people, you have to show the people. And once again, when you're like homeschool mom, when you're teaching somebody, you show them, but then you get them to teach you. If you really want somebody to learn something, to believe it to be true, you teach them, you show them, then you get them to repeat it, but then you get them to teach you or teach someone else, because then it is truth to them.
That was what was all so interesting about the Q boards, and why I kind of equated to that just a bit, because you answering the question that you yourself chose to go answer, because the early Q is just questions. What's this? Who's that? What situation was this? Why are these two people here when they're not supposed to be? That kind of a thing. And and you're like, I don't know. And the question itself, that lingering question, is almost too much for you not to ask. And you teach yourself, and then, like you say, Lisa, it locks in. I think there's mimetic kind of programmatic effect being elicited from some of this stuff today. I think it might be actually quite targeted. But we'll see how this goes. It's incredibly interesting to me that if there's George Bush at 9/11, like getting leaned over to tell what had just transpired, right? When he was in the
that was
classroom.
probably my favorite one, where they had that and then the 9/11 in the same picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not there's not, like I said, I haven't associated a lot of the V steganography to this in particular, but it is steganography through and through. Just the way that this messaging that's layered on top of what would just be purported to be an image filter. Anyway.
Very interesting.
And then the Kanye, and look at that. There's Kanye and Nick Fuentes with the swastika around his,
oh my God, that's right.
Mm-hmm. I think that might be Manson with the orange. Is that who that is?
Yeah, is it
in the orange jumpsuit? Is that Manson?
No,
that would be too recent for that. With all the cameras and stuff.
Who is that?
I guess now we're gonna have to ask. Now we've got to put it into AI.
That's the guy who is that Waco? Not Waco. No, I know who that is.
Like it's Timothy McVeigh kind of thing. No,
he's got too much hair for Timothy McVeigh.
Too much hair. Yeah.
Sorry about my language, guys.
It's not the Unabomber, is it? It might be the Unabomber is.
I wonder if
now we're gonna have to go do this thing probably on our off time. I'm gonna have to go put these things. What photo is this?
How do you do it?
Well, copy it for one, and then just like right click copy.
Or do you just ask Grok underneath?
Oh yeah, you could do that. You could say Grok, like at Grok, what is this a photo of?
That's crazy. This is wild. I don't know. I'm not even on X. My account was seized 3 years ago.
I know, but everyone tags you anyway.
That's insane. That's so crazy. And I've told people for years, I'm like, I'm not I have no access to that. I don't know who is behind that account.
I know.
So if you click on the reply and then Grok might. There's a way to do it. I forget how you do that. It might be that it's because there are 4 photos too in the post. So Grok doesn't know which one to target.
Oh, explain this photo.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It's analyzing it. How weird.
Oh, it's still doing it. Okay.
Someone said that AI is lying to us now. I was like, well, you mean they haven't already? That's so. I feel like they.
Well, it's not a perfect representation of what you can elicit from a summarized document either. I'll put my videos in it and I'll say, okay, Grok, watch my video and give me a summary. And it'll be a 3-hour long presentation that I've done. And so Grok will watch it and he'll say this video it'll say this video is 50 minutes long and it'll give a timestamp of everything. I was like, this isn't the complete video. Did you watch all of it, Grok? Seems like there are 2 more hours for you to chronicle here. And it'll watch it again. And you're right. I left out 45 minutes. Is that all of the video that you want me to watch? And it's just kind of dumb. AI doesn't really have the reliability, I guess, for you to just trust that the answer that it's spitting out is within the the level of accuracy where you cannot tune it further.
Grok can't seem to analyze this person's face correctly. It's not able to.
It just says a central figure wearing an orange outfit resembling a prison uniform and a beard.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That one's very obscure. I don't know what that one is.
It doesn't say.
I know who it is. I just can't think of it. I can't think of his name. We know that face. He's supposed to be heroic, right wing. He's a hero. He's a folk hero, type of thing.
Somebody in the chat.
Yeah. Come on, somebody in the chat knows who this
There
guy
we
is.
go.
Says it's Waco.
It's Waco.
It is Waco? Okay.
I knew it.
I don't know.
Yeah, Jenny had that one.
I just don't know his name. What's his damn name?
David Koresh, Waco.
That's what it is. One of the last American folk heroes to whom speed means freedom of the soul.
Yeah.
You guys don't know what that's from. It's a Super Soul. It's an old movie about cars.
The other thing I watched, what is it? I'm gonna go into all the 70s like soul movies that I like the. I'm just not gonna go into it. I love them. I love that genre of movies.
It's really good. They were allowed to do. It's not even that I think they were allowed to put things in movies back then. They were like, it wasn't so politicized the way that it is now, or at least it was different. So the movies were like dense with like occult symbolism. Nobody batted a lash because they didn't have the internet, so it was like it didn't matter. They could do whatever they wanted to do. Does resemble Charles Manson though, totally does.
Yeah, that's what I first thought until you see the cameras, and then you're like, no, this couldn't have been the 60s.
David Koresh, Waco.
But yeah, what else is going on this week, lady? Sorry, that was my kind of interjection of it's
kind of a big deal today.
I'm paying attention to today. It's kind of fun, but
it is fun to watch people kind of wake up on their own too, to have the questions and see the things. And that does target the younger audience, like you were saying before we got started, where Cliff's writing the book and targeting, he wants to wake up the younger generation. And so he's using that as like, hey, here's a Twilight series. Here's a book focused on the younger generation. And so that would be like those, like Cannon wants to go to Japan. That's one of his big goals, because he loves all the, roller coasters and gaming and all anime and all that kind of stuff. And so like he wants to go to Japan. And so them doing that kind of meme in that style, that makes sense that would target the younger generation, and that they would look into it and be like, yeah, they're not going to watch the news and, things that are happening and whatever, but you start throwing those kind of memes around, and especially watching, CNN and Fox News people arguing with each other, that just disinterests them even more. But you start throwing those memes around, and then they're like, what is this?
It's how all the gamification in his Fortnite game is built too. It's like this progression, like, oh, I'm going to go collect the tokens because that unlocks this. It's if I'm getting this right, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is to see how the investigation around all of these photos unfolds. Because I want one of the main things I want to see, if the younger audience gets involved, how it gets gamified. For us autistic people that were on the Chan boards and doing all of the investigations back then, it's a certain type of appeal to that type of person. But are they going to get rewarded along the way? Kind of like, oh, you finished the quest. And this is kind of where even the meme token stuff is starting to come in. It's crazy how sophisticated some of the meme token.
Well, there was something when I was scrolling through there that said something about a Ghibli. I'm calling it Ghibli. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
There you go.
Coin or token.
It's all wrapped up in this.
Maybe if you find it first, kind of like the Bitcoin hash, if you solve the problem first, then maybe you get the coin or token first.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that proof of work? That goes back to the merit thing.
Yeah. At least, hopefully we'll see, at least be able to train the youth that mining for their own knowledge is a worthwhile endeavor to do. Cause it's just the rote education system that brandishes the memorization of falsified facts. And, that's the whole reason you're doing
generations of Google vomit and turning their brains off. Like this could re-engage. I always tell my son, engage your brain. you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Yeah.
have the search it up and asking questions and the DTCC, you know, definition, comparison, testimony, all these, the questioning of things, you know, how do you look for information about things? Well, we do this relationship, definition, testimony, comparison. That's how you learn about things. And
Yeah.
so that for us, it's about asking questions about things. And so that's if we can turn on the brain of the next generation, and maybe not even leave the generation behind that's in between, turn their brains back on, you know, then that's maybe how you make America great again.
It's certainly a start. And there's actually like fabricated proof to what's called the DMN, the default mode network of the brain. And this generation is totally wrecked in terms of what their default mode network is for all of the, I mean, they've effectively everything that you just mentioned, Lisa, is kind of like, in my eyes, at least, it falls within pattern recognition of some variety, like all of it. It's all just in really all different aptitude areas of any proficiency end up being is just a specified type of pattern recognition that's kind of tuned in, you know, and without it, you can't critically think. And it's a plan. I put this book up, but when you were ranting, this is called Rotten to the Common Core by Joseph Farrell. And he worked with a guy whose name was Gary Lawrence that was actually involved with, at the baseline level, the programming of the testing. And it proves how testing itself was this institutionalized subversive mechanism that they wanted kids to not critically think. It guided them toward, you know, false thing. I mean, if you think about even the multiple choice test, it seems harmless on the surface, but doing only multiple choice over and over and over and over, and Scantron, it actually, it collapses your neural pathways. It doesn't allow you to go probe into like, all three of these could be correct if I actually really thought about it, right? A, C, D, and A are all technically correct. And we are disinclined, even in college, would go up to the professor and say kind of some of this stuff. He said, well, there's only one correct answer, right? Like, okay.
And it's the one I told you earlier this week. And if you
Yeah.
don't come back with that exact one, then you're wrong. Well, Jenny, you had to experience that a lot in your life growing up because you were receiving information from outside the book or, you know, the school or whatever. And so, like, how do you see that playing into as we're going into this?
So, like, I genuinely think that our kids are moving into a world that is so different from the one that we grew up in. So obviously engaging your brain and like all of that stuff, we definitely need to like resynchronize with our like natural circadian rhythms, which I think the phones and the devices and the technology is like definitely interfering with. But I also think that we might want to like, because I have 3 kids, like in the next, like all 3 generations. Like I have a Gen Z, I have a Gen Alpha. You know, I have like all these younger generation people, and they're like so far ahead of me. I mean, which is easy to do because I'm still stuck in like 2009 technology, but like they're so beyond. And I'm like, oh, you know, I catch myself saying, go do other things. And I'm thinking, how is that any different from like our parents wanting us to play by the rules of the world that they were raised in, when really we're headed in a wildly different, like our kids are going to be there 30 years from now. Like I want to foster their relationship with whatever tech they resonate with, because it's not going to be like, I don't know. I don't think tech is really going anywhere. I'm of the mind where like we need to get a handle on it. We have to decide what kind of world we want to live in. So I don't think that it's like AI is going to be just totally running rampant, but like now's the time to kind of make our decisions about like how far we want this shit to go and stuff like that. Cause like my kid, like they tell me how to do it. They're like, you can use it for this and you can use it for this. And I'm not inclined to be like, oh, you know, like, I'm inclined to be like, yeah, like if you're gonna do it, like be the best, like be the best. So in 10 years from now, when this technology is reigning supreme, my kids know how to operate it. You know what I mean? Because like
a match can burn your house down, but it can also keep you warm.
yeah, exactly.
So,
like learn how to use it. Learn how to use it. And you know, it's an instrument. It is your instrument, not the other way around. You're not an instrument of AI. We're not instruments of technology. So I just try to, you know, tell them like, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. Someone in the comments says we should Heidi. So like you guys don't even know. I've been trying to get Heidi I've been pushing for a reunion for years because I miss those days too, Channel 27. Yeah, no, it's true. You know, it's tough. It's been such a politically polarized, like socially polarized environment for years now. But
it must affect like because her clients can find her and then they think,
oh yeah,
oh my God, what is this that you do? Right. It's and then they're kind of weirded out or something.
Yeah, no, for sure. So she said it's not the money, it's being on YouTube when she works for a national builder. She can't do both.
There it is. That's there. Yeah. Well, the I've had there's only really one other Vedic astrologer I've found on the internet other than Joni Patri, but there's a Substack Vedic astrologer. Her name's Juliana Swanson, and she's pretty good. She's an older lady, but she does blog style and pretty good analysis. It's not what I remember from Heidi's stuff, because Heidi usually looked into stuff I was more interested in, honestly. But I hope she does come back. It'll be a wonderful day.
I like, just to go back to the project, what is it? Project Ghibli? Studio Ghibli. I mean, that animation was used in some of the most popular children's movies. So I could see, and also like AI, you can see how these memes totally like circumvent the algorithms, like the AI's ability to like identify faces. We just proved it. So AI can't even counter these memes with, you know, captions of disinformation. It completely slides beneath the radar right to the kids. So the kids are like, what's this? You know, even though the kids aren't like that. Like the kids of today are pretty sharp. You know, I think we don't give them enough credit. We think, you know, a lot of us think that they're like slow, and it's like the American education system slowing them down, but they're pretty freaking on it. Is Heidi on the space station? Yes, she is.
Always.
She literally is, though. I can't talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Jenny. I think we did. We just proved it, and that only makes people ask more questions because they do want to know. So it'll get them past that little firewall, and they'll get straight to the dirty details of whatever this image is conveying. I think it's clever. I don't know if this is just one of those laughable moments, whereas, you know, like Cliff says, the ontology is speaking to you or something, or it's just this is the circumstance that unfolded, but it's turning into something that almost does look like it's premeditated and planned.
I hope so. Damn, I hope so.
All right. Stay having lots of fun in the woo. Maybe we should just go straight here. We won't talk about
bring up the next. What's up next?
Yeah, I was going to talk about taxes and all kinds of stuff. Maybe later, but
I'm not here.
Let's talk about Jenny's favorite topic, silver. We can just let's talk about.
No. I have something else. So
I'm just so bored of it. That's all.
The Ark of the Covenant is trending right now on Twitter.
Nuh-uh.
Swear.
Is it really?
So it was in the CIA documents that are also like trending on Twitter. There was a remote viewing. And I remember not too long ago, there's supposedly a replica in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, there is one of the Ark of the Covenant.
So I was curious if Jenny thought it was really a replica, or is it the real Ark of the Covenant.
I mean, so I gotta tell you, like, I'm looking it up. By the way, someone made a reference. The movie I was referencing earlier is called Vanishing Point, made in 1971, about a 1970 Dodge Challenger. And it's like a hero's journey, but it's all about this white car, Vanishing Point. And there's a lot of like messages in it and symbolism and stuff. Anyways, I think that the Ark of the Covenant, like there might be some, like there's replicas all over. I really think that this is more in the same way that the infrastructure found beneath the pyramids, we're now talking about it. My gut is that these are more like symbolic of functions of the planet and functions of the body. So like, what do the structures under Giza tell us? Like, they tell us about how things are functioning. It's a functional infrastructure. It's not just there for decoration. Like, it's a function. And I think that the Ark of the Covenant, it's probably some kind of function pertaining to the compartmentalization of, certain very important data. And if we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant, we're probably looking at, because isn't it like a thing with a top on it? And it's like,
it is. Are you familiar with its connection with the pyramids too, Jenny? I mean, it goes in the king's chamber is what's presumed.
Well, so perfect. So they're literally showing us the hardware. Now they're showing us the software. They're showing us the pieces and how it works. And so people are going to think of these things as very physical, like, we're looking at the carbon-based, physical objects here, when really this is just as much a spiritual job, just as much an astral sort of uncovering as it is anything else. And to me, that's where I'm headed. We can't all touch the pyramids of Giza. We can't all touch the Ark of the Covenant. But this, the awakening process and the integration of all this new information is very much like a collective journey. Like, it's changing human consciousness every time we like get into it. It changes us because it connects all of these synapses that were previously like, it's a physiological and spiritual change. And it's like represented symbolically by these objects, they're just objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I even talked about this the other day too, Jenny. It was Wardenclyffe. Yeah, we did. I'm sure of it. We talked about Tesla and Wardenclyffe, right? Was that somebody else I talked about?
We talked about. I mean, we talked about a lot, but
right. No, that's why it's tough for me to remember exactly. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about the new discoveries with the pylons underneath the pyramids and Wardenclyffe. Yeah. And we actually, Lisa, we looked into this, and there's some level of confirmation to this supposition. So, but here it is. I sent you a link you can click on to show what was underneath Wardenclyffe. Mm-hmm. But Wardenclyffe was Nikola Tesla's his experimental tower that would attenuate the ether all sorts of different ways. Wireless electricity was the presumption, of course, but all sorts of different things to attenuate the ether with, he was experimenting with at that station. And what he had to do to make it work was that he had to find, using dowsing rods, as far as I understand it, he had to use dowsing rods to connect with the ley line to find where the aquifer was and drill down this big cylindrical grinder down into the aquifer system underneath. And there were grounding rods and Tesla coils that went up this rod. This is a crude model of what he had to build, but doesn't go nearly as far down into the ground as the pyramids. But everybody that knows anything about his researches, I mean, knows that he was referencing that area and what was presumed that those objects and those were, and what those monoliths acted as devices. So there's this going on all the while the meme of the Teslas are being destroyed. That seems pretty purposeful to me too. All of this stuff that is in the news about Elon's version of Tesla being destroyed. I don't know if this is like an occult ritual kind of paid for campaign to go do this, such that it tries to retard our thinking around this or something. But what do you two think about the connection here? Have you had a chance to think on this anymore, Jenny, or?
I mean, I genuinely think that all of this amounts to this kind of a dominance in our quantum field. Like whichever network is potent enough, sort of tethered enough, like we believe in it enough, we put enough weight in it, whichever network is more powerful is going to like win the consensus. And I think I might have tried to explain this briefly, but we have a synthetic network, you know, the EMFs, the you know, Skynet type of technology, you know, everybody's 6 feet apart, so they can't map us at, you know, they want us separated so they have like control over our electromagnetic fields. They've taken great effort into, you know, trying to tether and sort of move our energy around. So that's the synthetic network, chemtrails, you name it. And then there's the naturally occurring network, the natural fields that occur in the planet, you know, atmospheric, under the earth, you know, everywhere. And I think we're like literally looking at a battle of these two networks. Like, so this Tesla, you know, the Tesla files and the Tesla technology, for all intents and purposes, was designed with the natural network in mind and has a completely like harmonious symbiotic, you know, relationship and has a facilitating quality to it. Whereas the synthetic network is completely, you know, it's a forced network. It needs millions of tethers, you know, to ground it into something. So I just think that this is all being presented to us so that the collective can choose. Like, we have to choose. That's the thing. It's a free will universe. Like, they can't do anything unless we continue to consent. So I think all of this leads up to this. I don't know if it's a realization. I don't know if people are like smart enough to see it yet, but I think that there is an existing network that has been done already on this planet. So it's not even like we have to build it. I think it's already in the earth. It's already installed. And what it needs are these key pieces basically to facilitate the whole fucking network. Like when we talk about Atlantis, and we talked about this a little bit, Atlantis was not like, it's not just a location. Atlantis was an era. Atlantis was an era. It was an eon. It was a global network. It was a time in Earth's history where we had this very harmonious symbiosis with the Earth's natural like motion and field. So that's why they were able to travel so quickly. Like, we've been done this. Like, it's been done. We're not reinventing anything. We don't even have to it's just about choosing it. We just have to choose what we want.
Remember when we talked about the ley lines? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just asked that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay. We were in Canada, Jenny, and we were talking about the ley lines.
Yeah.
And how, and then we were having the talks about dimensions and travel and all that. Like, the ley lines are already there.
It's already there.
And that's where like the Freemasons and all that know that. And that's why that's why these capitals and the Freemason temples are built on the ley lines. They know the power grid, the structure's already there. And that's why they call it magic. And that's why they tell you you're bad for using it or knowing it, having the knowledge. So it's just a tool. Once again, it's a tool, whether it's technology or called magic or whatever. It's a tool, and you can use it for good or evil.
Well, the ley line emplacements of the structures too. Even if you go back to the Greek pantheons, if you actually and look at electrically, if you look at the floor plans of all the pylons as little circuitry nodes, these things are cathodes. They're cathedral. I call them cathedrals instead of cathedrals, just as kind of my play on words, because they're on specific ley line emplacements, it would seem, and they're also tuned specifically with their chambers. Mm-hmm. So you have, for all of those other old cathedrals, you've got the harmonic chambers that you've got different resonant qualities within. And it seems also that there is, those big rose windows that they have, and they've got intricate patterns. It looks like this very kaleidoscopy sacred geometry pattern. Well, there is some ancient understanding, I think, and recent researchers have uncovered that there's some truth to this, that if you match the cymatic pattern that's being broadcast as that pattern on the big stained glass windows, the main circular one that you see on these cathedrals. It's almost like a ketone. That cymatic pattern matches the internal Hertzian frequency of the chamber inside. It's like a ketone that it tells you how that cathedral is supposed to work, what qualities you're supposed to elicit by being inside of it. And therefore, then you just have to figure out how to activate it, right? And we've seen by now, I think, a lot of these Tartarian structures, even old photos from the 19th century with the big pylons and the etheric bubbles activated, and they're shooting lightning off the top. And we're just right on the cusp, I think, to getting back to figuring this out. I mean, it's not that far back that we got to go.
It's really not that far. It's not that big of a jump. For the longest time, because we talked a little bit about the JFK stuff too, and like there seems to have been a very significant rift that occurred right around the assassination. Well, there's been multiple on the Kennedys, right?
The Trump attempt last year. Is that what you mean?
So like literally like all of the attempts, because like these people like Trump, the Kennedys, like we can consider them representative of a certain order. We'll call them an order, a brotherhood, a gang, a cult, whatever you want to call them. They're a group and they work together. They operate together. And they're representative of a certain lineage, right? Even if they're not actually like related, they affiliate. This is a gang affiliation. Think of it that way. And then we have the opposing gangs. They're affiliated with one another, so on and so forth. But this gang, right? So we'll call them, the Trump people, the Kennedys, like this whole affiliation group. Something happened, but this timeline where these men in fact lived, that time where they were not successfully assassinated, where they were able to carry out their will into government, whatever it was that they wanted to do, that timeline exists almost overlapping with the one that we're on right now. That's how close we are to that one. Mm-hmm. So much so that when folks over the years have asked me questions, for the cards, or like, is this Kennedy alive, or is this Kennedy alive? So in the matter of Kennedy Jr., the cards told me like he was, but I believe that he is not. But like the cards, it's weird. The cards will pick up someone's presence even if they're not physically here, because that's the potency of the electromagnetic frequency and the will of a heart that at one point in time was beating with a lot of will power and a lot of wishes and desires and dreams here on planet Earth. That frequency is still very much here, as if he was still alive. Now, this is something that confused me at the time, and it took me a lot of contemplation and study, and I tried to figure out, well, I believe he's dead. We have evidence, corporeally speaking, he is dead. Why do my cards pick up on a presence, like a life, like a presence? And it's similar with General Patton. He was assassinated, but his will, and his fucking aura, and that massive, he was a 7-ray being. He was a very advanced person. My cards pick up on him as if he is right here in the room with me. Corporeally, he is not. But so what all this to say, the timeline where we won, and we have the technology, we have the means to change the face of the earth within 3 days by giving people fresh water and good food and this and that. We have that. It's vibrating overlappingly on top of our timeline right now. Like we're like bumper cars trying to bump the other off of that course, this window. And I don't know if that has to do with like this kind of cyclical movement, the rise and falls of civilization. We're all kind of looking in on this one window, like it's like threading a needle, and whomever is in charge of like the ship, so to speak, at the time that we thread that needle, that's who's dominant on the other side. And that's what the gangs are all fighting about right now. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's where they say the veil is so thin.
Yeah.
And when Cliff talks about us traveling in a spiral, and Heidi was even talking about, or shared a video of the guy talking about the Kali Yugas and moving through and what that's like. So all of that makes a lot of sense. And if you've had loved ones that have passed and you have that experience that, the veil is so thin and they're not that far away, kind of that feeling,
very close.
and how real that is right now.
Yeah.
and that we are getting help from the other side. I do
are.
believe that.
So does that so Saturn is I think it's aspecting opposite.
Where's Heidi? Where's Heidi with the transits?
Uranus.
Heidi, get the transit.
Uranus is going to hit Algol in just a couple of days again.
That's right.
And
been talking about
the last time it happened, Mars, I think even conjuncted it. I did a video, like all my analysis on this is hazy. I'm not an astrologer, so I have to like remember the details, how I remember everything else. But I think Mars conjuncted it last time when Uranus hit Algol, and that's where we had Trump's thing. And now it's going to have Saturn aspecting it in on the same day that it's going to hit Algol again. I think within like the next few days, like early April. I got to look up which days it is again. But Saturn controls chronology, it controls time, it controls perception, all those things. Is this the cleaving of the head off of the old demonic system and the timeline, like you're saying with the language you're using, right, Jenny, are we going to lock into where we should harmonize with after that day, kind of a thing?
Well, and it's weird because like I think it's so weird because it's not, it depends, it's like collectives too. Like I think an entire chunk of the populace can be ahead of another part of the populace. And I always
called it the two parallel paths. I don't know why, but I've called it for that. Like we'd be able to wave at the other people because they'd never come over to the path that this group was on. Yeah. It's more complex than that, but it was almost like how I envisioned. Charles Dickens wrote a book a long time ago called the Tale of Two Cities, and that was kind of where that started with me. It was in the French Revolution, and the Tale of Two Cities was the best of times, it was the worst of times, is how the book starts, right? And that's kind of how I visualize it, I guess. Is that too much though? Is it so separate that we're never gonna be compadres again, do you think? Or have they
really? I genuinely don't know. And I think that's because the question of the materium versus the immaterium comes into play, because from the immaterium, like from the spirit or the soul, like they can't go where we go. Like I literally think that to an extent there's becoming an incompatibility between our frequencies. They want a world, like essentially a hellscape. We don't fucking want that. And I think our vote counts. And I think consensus is such a potent creator that this comes down to a numbers game. It's like how much of the population believes one thing. We can make that thing true. I mean, you can see how successful they are with their mass hypnosis. Now you have, we're completely split. Now, whose reality is real reality? Whose version of reality stands? It's a consensus game. So unless, these people essentially choose to die off, or choose to stay in a version of reality that ended maybe around 2017, 2018, pre-COVID. As I talk to people that I think they have not opened their eyes since right before COVID hit. Like they literally are just stuck in kind of some kind of a mental loop, some kind of a strange space. I'm not sure. Fucking fruit fly.
Fruit flies.
My God, like it's Florida, man. That's what can you do?
Well, what do you think that the 23andMe thing yesterday or 2 days ago actually has something to do with this too?
I love 23andMe. I mean, I do, but I don't. Heidi bought me a 23andMe years ago, so we wanted to know how related we were, and so they're always sending me updates, and they're like, "We've changed your." There's new data. Do you want to see? So I better hurry up and look at that.
There's new data. They've cloned you. They've successfully cloned you.
Oh no. I have literally had, I haven't had dreams. I've had people tell me that they have had dreams where they're interacting with me, but it's not me, it's a clone. And I'm like, are you sure it wasn't me? They're like 100%, because it was you, but it was like slightly different, like ever so slightly, but it made it. And so I do think like cloning is definitely a real thing, like a huge thing. There's something that information does to change people's paradigms, where they'll wake up the next day and the weight of what they have just learned completely changes who they are. And I think we're in the age of this kind of spillover between realities. There's the subterranean reality, meaning the men, women, children, and beings that live, work, they're born, they live and they die subterraneanly. There's an entire world beneath our feet. And I think we live in an age where the underworld and the underbelly of society and this kind of very flimsy mask societal cover is being crumbled up, and we're experiencing this kind of bleed through. And I think populations are literally blending together. So I think, this is why they're telling us, part of why they're telling us about these structures they're finding is they kind of have to cover their asses, because they know like soon things are going to be impossible to keep the lid on. Populations are going to start running into each other.
Because Third Reich Germans from Antarctica are going to come from Shambhala in the Hollow Earth, and
that would be cool. No, but I think
that would be pretty impressive. Yeah, if we've got fleets of inner Earth craft and they're like, "Hey, humans, we haven't seen you in 80 years." I
literally think it's coming down. It's similar to when there's like, say, there's a huge immigration crisis. It has to do with territories. And territories that are under duress, territories that, people that have to move from territory to territory due to war, famine, disease, you name it, things are changing. So populations are moving. And I literally think we're dealing with a kind of population bleed through from the subterranean. The subterranean reality is coming to light. Why do you think they trained troops to fight subterranean metropolitan areas, specifically trained these people to fight underground?
I think a lot of the underground training happens so the Selenites on the moon don't really know how much of a force is.
Well, I think that already happened, though. That happened when the Comfort and the Mercy were off of California and off of New York, when they rescued the children. When they put all the tents up and they rescued the children, like that's when a lot of that fighting was going on.
You remember those, right, Jenny? Basically the same week.
Crosses?
Yeah.
Of course, they were on the water too. Waters are
right.
Different jurisdiction. There's maritime. There's portals all over the water.
Yeah.
Very, very, very strange. When people find out like just how they've been messed with. I mean, I wonder. I don't think people really care, to be honest. As long as they have their Amazon Prime and their Netflix series.
Yeah, the character Cypher from The Matrix. He's the guy that just wants the steak. Oh, I know the steak is fake, but I want it so bad, Yeah.
He said, I want to be someone important, like an actor.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it is very true. Yeah. We have
the missing people. No, like it's the missing people. So that's another thing too. As soon as the Giza shit came out, I was like, oh, great. Like, yay. I don't give a shit about pyramids. It's so boring to me. That's like entry level. 9/11 was an inside job. Like you learn about 9/11, you learn about the pyramids, you learn about, chemtrails. Right. So I've kind of like felt like I'm ready for like the real stuff. Right. So I just kick it over to like, I want to know what's beneath the Getty Museum. I want to know what's going on, beneath the various, like even like the DMV. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but like, I think there's certain like municipal buildings, government buildings, federal, a lot of these properties are actually fronts, like literally covers, smoke screens for intermediary locations, like actual jump off points between the underworld and our world. And they're literally shuffling men, women, and children off planet, including other commodities.
Well, my grandpa, I think you're right about this. Like, I don't know what sense of extent that it goes to, but my grandpa was in immigration. And you'd purport to think like, oh, he's a border patrol agent. And that's what he started out as. But then in his later career, he got very, very, very well respected in the Northwest. When I grew up in Seattle area, And then he had all of this renown and fame, I guess, that I had no idea of with his last name. He was like, you know how in the Men in Black, they're the import-export airport for off-planet?
Oh, yeah. Very
it was
real.
Almost like that's what he was. Like,
yeah.
The necessity of his job, I think, even facilitated for the necessity for his like memory to get wiped every so often, like they do in the movie. And where they use that, where is that network has been what I've always wondered about. And those were always the most likely places too that I would deduce was they were using those as a
the
front
post office,
yeah,
DMV,
like they even put in the movies. Yeah, I think you're on to it. It's
their government, especially the post office, but even things like water, and the freaking the clerks. Like I was just at the clerks, like for some bullshit with my license. And I swear to God, I walked in, I started buzzing. I was like, there's just something, it's between the walls, it's in the floor. Like the people that work here look funny. This place smells funny. I'm like, and I all that to say, I think when you're on their grounds, you are playing in Caesar's realm. You are in their jurisdiction. You know what I mean? And there are parts, other places where it's a lot more, it's a lot more clear. But I genuinely think a huge topic that needs to be, and probably will be just by default, is going to start coming up, is the David Paulides, his work, the missing 411, the national parks, the Doge. When Doge specifically went after employees of the National Park Service, and then they were kind of like low-key kind of excited about it because for years and years and years, the National Park Service employees have been wanting to speak up about what's going on inside the parks, all the missing people, especially where there's huge.
Oh, they must have gag orders then, huh? They
don't anymore. Because they legally were let go, they have been completely absolved of any and all NDAs. So they are all getting ready. They've been ready to make statements about what they know. And when I tell you that is like such a huge. That is a huge deal, because not only does the missing people implicate, it makes a whole bunch of people look bad because they should have warned us, right? They should tell us what's going on. But it implicates this kind of coordinated effort on the part of the federal government, not only to keep it secret, but to an extent they facilitate and look the other way of these massive,
the X-Files are real.
The X-Files are real, man. I'm telling you. And part of it, too, at the end of the day, I genuinely believe that we don't have this completely under control. I think there are all of these government agencies from the CIA and, the Department of Homeland Security. I don't think that they are the least bit in control of the situation. I think they try. I think they try to front. But I think they really, at the end of the day, they don't know either. And it's just
perception. They're ahead in the perception game right now. And we're getting it back.
Yeah.
Just wait till we get to all go into the all of the national parks are. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever give them to us to claim for ourselves to make homesteads on or anything, but open them up, like get all these military bases off the best parts of it and let us in.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to find?
Trump's in the end of his first presidency, the 2017 NDAA was the largest transfer of military property, and that was a huge part of that. There was huge military bases transferred. The biggest, also just not just property but value. That was a huge part of this. And that's why I think a lot of this is already done. Yes, it's rolling it out to the public. Yes, it's doing it because, like Heidi said, a lot of people can't handle what was going on or is going on to be rolled out to the public. But, and like you guys are saying, all this national park stuff, but just like Trump renamed the Gulf of America, all he has to do is, and he's already talking about, the Mount McKinley instead of Denali, because it changes all the contracts. It gives it back to the people. It, uncovers all of this, whether it's the gold or ends the contracts with, whoever is taking the missing people. All of that can be changed by renaming it. and that breaks all those contracts. And so all that could be happening as well. Remember that Trump's talking about, okay, so one of the other woo-woo things is tomorrow is Christmas. If you look at the
right. The 13-month calendar.
Yeah. And April 1st or 2nd is actually the new year. So I wonder what your feedback is on that, Jenny. Does
Oz
that feel
equals 41. Oz equals 41 and 14 in gematria. Remember, there's your starting point for the numerology of the day.
Yeah. So there you go. Like, are we going to be seeing, and we're looking at this silver squeeze going into the, failure to deliver the end of this month.
I swear, Lisa, if that does happen, day and date with the first, there you go. There it is. It is. It's the Oz unplugging of the silver rig. Right. Trump came out with this, the stable coin, the USD1.
And
which one do you think that? Because remember, Cliff said three currencies are going to get rejected, and I think number 1's already been rejected. So this is number 2.
I don't know. Japan launched Circle as a stable coin like 2 days ago.
That was today too. Yeah.
So that could be a rejection.
But it has to be the U.S. people to fulfill the WebBot hit data.
The WebBot.
For the U.S. people have to reject it. Yeah.
Okay. So
but
maybe
I forget if he said if the maybe this would be the first one, because USD1
is the stable coin that was rolled out.
Yeah, this might be the first solution that everyone's be like, fuck no.
That's centralized. So will that be accepted or will that be rejected? But it seems to be a treasury note.
Y'all are talking money. You lost me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm listening.
I know you know what we're doing.
My brain only works to an extent.
Well, and I like over talk it because I feel talk.
I know what you mean by that.
You know how I roll.
I love how you roll, Lisa. I'd roll with you any day, girl.
You know how I am. I went down so many rabbit holes while we were together. I'm like, okay, well, this and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, it's so much fun. And I'm just like I'm listening at the same, but like, it's just a roller coaster. It's so much fun. It's so much damn fun.
Yeah. So he launched a crypto business dollar coin called US
business dollar. What's with these extra descriptors? It makes it so convoluted.
So I don't know that means that was the US government. That sounds like a business thing.
Yeah.
The Trump family crypto.
As if to separate, like, the Trump coin.
It says it's pegged to the US dollar. It's not, this is not our government.
No.
So that's not, that's separate. That's his.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the ones that would fulfill it, I don't think.
No.
I don't think. It could be a loosely associated language thing, like it sometimes is, only in hindsight with the WebBot data, but.
Yeah, that's not.
I just got an email. I guess Cliff just posted on Substack.
Oh, cool.
Like an audio one? Those are my favorite, the audio ones.
Yeah.
I like all of them, but.
Housing, currency, money, and aliens.
Ha!
Well, there we go.
Nice.
Housing. I want for the.
I want a house.
Housing situation to be so much more clear for myself right now. My God,
Yeah. You and me both, man. You and me both. I mean, I rent and I'm happy and everything, but it would just be nice. Like, I dream of like land and properties, building a house,
Between what he said and what Janine was showing cards for, they were saying like that silver is going to start running like in the next, starting April, running through, that we might see that $600 silver into the fall. And then Uncle Cliff was just saying on one of his latest videos with Jean-Claude that the housing market's going to kind of start breaking in October. And so we're trying to sell this house right now and Charlie's mom's house after she passed. We're trying to get rid of that. So like we just dropped the price on this house because I want to get out and put it in silver because we're going to build next to mom. So I'm like, man, I'd rather lose a little bit on this and know I'm going to make it up in silver for a couple months. So I can build what I really want there.
What would it take to get you to melt all of your silver instead so we can make a weapon against all this chemtrail planes? I'd do that. I'd melt my silver down.
Well, we're not going to have to. Cliff talked about that too. We're going to be taken care of.
Just like a big zapping rail gun that just takes them out of the sky, just like they're little mosquitoes, you know?
I don't think we have to worry about it.
No, we won't.
Other people are going to have had enough. And
well, Joni Patrice said April, like her video yesterday was the most powerful month of 2025.
April?
Well, April's astrology is explosive.
April. I'm telling you, it is. I mean, I thought March was going to be a lot because we got a lot planned and there's an eclipse and stuff at the end of the month. And it's the equinox. So, you know, I thought March was going to be something else, but even, you know, my cards as well are, you know, we're telegraphing a pretty big month. Mostly, so cryptos, oh God. So I hate it, but it is my job, so I do it, right? And so I've been asked to view some crypto spaces. April, I want to say like between like the 17th and the 23rd. That looked like a really significant window for cryptos. You know, like a lot of volatility. Obviously, like there's a lot of volatility, but then also there was going to be some kind of like we had that 3 star. I think we just talked about it, but it's like a reunification of 3 significant powers. There was a huge like falling apart of the 3 powers, and then in the month of April they come back together and they find a truce.
And it's undefined who the powers are. It's just 3 powers.
Totally undefined because tarot doesn't put names to anything. You know, that's our job. You know, that's my job.
We'll know when it happens who the 3 powers are, kind of, right?
Yeah.
In hindsight.
Yeah. April, I think there's going to be a lot of suicides and yeah, hell yeah. I mean, not that there's we're not making light of suicides, but Suicide Week, as we've come to know it, is huge because it really is indicative of like who's had their hand in the cookie jar, who is in a world of hurt. You know, Suicide Week tells us a lot.
Who was a whistleblower? Who was assassinated but passed off was a suicide?
Who's kind of faking their death? Like fake deaths happen all the time.
Yeah,
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
interesting.
Yeah, this makes me wonder too. Like you know, all those conspiracies out there. They're like Bill Hicks is Alex Jones, and you know all these people that look like the other people. Mm-hmm. In a joking way, I'm going to wonder if like implicated people from you know, let's say Don Lemon's implicated for some reason, but he died. But 4 weeks later somebody that looks just like Don Lemon is back at it on his new channel, right? Like I don't know if we're going to start seeing that kind of thing, but
genuinely do think that there are some actors that are other actors. I really do. It's psychotic and it's hard for people to imagine that it would be like that, but that's really, these people are so inverted and traumatized and enslaved, so they'll do anything. You guys know Orlando Brown? He was a former Disney kid. He was on That's So Raven with Raven Simone.
Oh yeah, I know that kid is. Yeah,
last year he was going off the rails just talking about it. He's talking about Jay-Z as Oprah, you know, like talking about how all of these like people are actually each other. He sounds crazy, but there is really, people have to understand the technology that these like high sorcerers mixed with like the like top scientists of like, you know, that work for the bad guys. Mm-hmm. They're so advanced. They can absolutely fragment somebody's psyche. They can put different fragments of people into other people. So in a lot, like, I don't think he's lying. I just think, you know, it sounds crazy. And he was blowing the whistle saying, you know, they're out here fucking everybody. They're raping these kids from the time that they're, you know, little kids. And, you know,
Black Isaac Cappy is what he is.
Yeah. For sure. for sure.
Justin Bieber was putting out a really strange post, I guess, yesterday or day before with the evergreen trailer. Yeah, the containers and pictures of little babies.
No,
pictures of
Evergreen's in
himself.
some weird stuff because Evergreen runs part of the chemtrail op too. So Evergreen is,
and it was also Hillary's Secret Service name. Was Evergreen.
Well, Evergreen is adrenochrome because it's ever young. You know what I mean?
Washington is the Evergreen state.
Stuff. Yes, it's the stuff that keeps it all going. They need that shit to generate the collective hallucination. They need the chemicals to, I swear to God, like they want ideally to make human beings hackable animals. They see hackable animals. We're so not that. Like maybe that person is.
Sabrina Wallace. Do you know who Sabrina Wallace is? Maybe not. She's a DARPA kid. Her parents gave her to DARPA for experimentation on this, and Lord. Lived to tell the tale. And she has varying perspectives on how effective certain aspects of that are and aren't, but it's not nothing. There is some programmableness to our bioelectric field.
Well, yeah,
like attenuation,
sure.
you know.
Yeah, we might be hackable animals, but we're not just anybody's hackable animals. You know what I mean? Like,
so the other thing that seems very inert, but is actually really powerful, that goes to this, that like links to normie land, is that they cannot create anything, just like they can't experience joy or whatever. They can't create. We can create. And that's where this restoring merit-based, they want to steal our energy because they can't create energy. Just like the old financial system, Wall Street, all of that. They wanted like a lottery or a system where they could they could benefit from someone else's work.
Yeah.
They wanted to benefit from, have a slave system.
They're parasites.
You know what I mean? They're parasites. Exactly. And that's where this actually is it restores a merit-based opportunity so that they can't benefit off of us anymore. It's even the stuff can't say on YouTube that we've kind of already said a little bit, but like this ends even that. Going to a merit-based, you can't use someone else's energy, even in a liquid form, on this system. Even this normie thing ends that horrible system. Like it all goes back to it.
I'm with it. I'm down for ending systems.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to have the collapse of the perception, you know, like it's funny, like that's all that keeps any of it up is the belief that it is the way it is. It's always on that just teetering aspect of everyone's perception and
that's what I mean. Like if people only freaking knew, and you talk to people that have had spiritual awakenings or Kundalini awakenings or whatever you want to call it, it's really just a heightened level, like of awareness, spiritual awareness of the self, like paying more attention to, you know, the things. They start to see magic everywhere. You know, it looks so different to different people, but they'll start to see the signs, and they're communicating with, you know, the universe. And it's this like reciprocal kind of dance that's taking place. Now imagine, and that's just one person who had some kind of inner awakening, and they're on the path of enlightenment. Imagine, you know, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, 1 billion people that just, you know, undergoing this kind of awakening. I've had visions of this from the time I was 19, 20 years old, of massive waves really coming from the sun, but not the sun in the sky. It was like a central sun. It was something that was like coming from up underneath, but it was communicating with the sun that we see in the sky, like some kind of like from, you know, atop the atmosphere from inside the earth. And there was this kind of these wavelengths traveling through, kind of bouncing off from the center, bouncing all the way up to the atmosphere and back down. I realize this kind of implies an enclosed system. I'm not here to argue about that. I'm not a flat earther, but something about these waves penetrated every heart, every beating heart. And it had some kind of destructive effect on the synthetic kind of overlay within that entire atmospheric, down, through the crust all the way down. It broke apart some kind of, I call it synthetic because it clearly can't stand in the wavelength of whatever this is, which is also naturally occurring. Do you kind of know what I'm saying? And so with the dissolution of this synthetic overlay is how it looks to me, because very sticky and it doesn't feel natural. It feels like it's gooey, it's slimy, it feels chemical, it feels metallic, and not the good kind of metallic, the tampered metallic. And it has this kind of effect specifically on the heart, because the heart is the seat of the soul. People think that it's in the brain. It's not. It's the heart. This is where the gold molecules clump up around. The anatomical human heart has actual gold cells that are in it. This is a real thing. And so the vision is there's for the souls that want it, for the hearts that are open and healthy. I know this is kind of going to bake some noodles here, but the jab, part of the campaign was to damage the anatomical human heart to such an extent that heart was not open for these waves to upgrade them in the way that they were meant to move along with the upgrades. But the campaign with the vaccine was to basically retard that process, that accelerated process. They basically can't participate because of the damage of the jab. So,
they can't receive the frequency.
They're still getting it, but the heart's not responding to it. It's not pinging it back. So, and like all this to say, what seems to be the unlocking, like the result of this, is some kind of unlocking of a collective memory. It's a collective memory. And the effect that it seems to have, like the words I got were like recognition. Something was to be recognized that previously was hidden, something we just couldn't see. And then after that, those events, it could be a series of events, like a long, over the course of years, maybe generations, I don't know.
Remember the Super Bowl commercial where Jennifer Aniston doesn't remember Ross, and it's all about the remembering.
Oh my God.
And she lost her memory, and they were trying to send messages. They're always trying to message.
I was literally just thinking
a lot of that's like rewriting history too, right? History is memory in terms of how we transcribe it and categorically file it in. So if we're rewriting history, we're going to have new memories associated with those too. And I'll bet you anything that Jenny's dead on. The more we look into correcting the historical record to what it actually was, the more those.
Did we just forget Tartaria? We just forgot how to build those buildings.
Something has been moving through, and I think we have yet to experience even more potent waves of it. Mm-hmm. That really does seem to break apart what was between us and those collective memories, because they're so real. They're imprinted in there somewhere, but there has to be this consistent ongoing campaign to keep that shit suppressed. And I genuinely believe, like, on top of a multifaceted weapon system, the vaccine was also designed to keep the heart contained so that it was not able to keep up or match. Like it was like it turns the receptor off. So it's not receiving the signal, can't ping anything back to the source. And I was talking to a firefighter not too long ago who doesn't know anything about anything. All he knows is his training, his experience, and what he's seen with his own eyes, not a woo person at all. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what's weird is all these people getting the jab, they come in with like, he called it a heart infection, a heart in
his language. He's grasping for language to describe it, basically, right?
But that meant something to me, because here's someone who's not from our background, doesn't know our jargon, he's not, in the woo-woo sector by any means. He's just a kid, firefight, whatever. And they're saying it's a heart infection, and he sees it all the time. Their hearts are infected. And I'm like, that's so weird. What a weird way to put it. And yet I get it. I can see that.
Yeah. I get it. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Well, you guys, we have to do this again.
Yeah, we do.
This is
well, this
great.
is the way. Do you want to do this with us we can just make it the threesome show here on Wednesdays if you want to, Jenny.
Well, you guys know, like, I'm kind of hard to like lock down when it comes to a schedule, but if the offer's on the table, yeah, I know. I just
when you're
like,
available,
with the winds.
Yeah, you're welcome to join. How about that?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Doors
that.
always open.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys like this, we appreciate you joining us, and we love all the comments. And big thanks to Heidi for joining us and giving us her insight as well. And of course, the door is always open to you to join us as well. Big thanks, Jenny Moonstone. Please check out Jenny's channel to book a reading with her if you'd like, or check out any of her other tarot cards, runes, pendulums, oracles, and angel cards, and other items you can get from her. You will not regret spending time with this lovely lady.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Nice. I always enjoy spending time with you. So you can find Skullcap SaVant, and all of his links are in the description of this video. Find him on Rumble, and he also does a show with the Phoenix Enigma on Fridays.
Yes, Saturday nights. That's probably worth me saying something about, because it's now a regular thing. I do a Saturday night show with my friend Sonic Alchemy and the Phoenix Enigma, Corey Daniel. Corey Daniel and I have been buds for a long time. He has got kind of an ancient historical rewriting of history bug like I do to me, and also a different level of analysis. I use the Steganography to analyze. And Sonic Alchemy is more like the shaman of the group who's done deep psychedelics, and he brings that into the discussion. And Corey's like the elder. So it's a fun show, and it's on its 4th episode on Saturday, and we're going to keep it going. We're going to be calling it the Fog Conversation. It was really
great. I watched the last one. It was really great. So
yeah, Saturday nights, the Phoenix Enigma. I'll show you. That's where it's going to be for now. It'll just be every Saturday night. His broadcast will be we three, and it'll spin off into its own branded thing. And whenever I figure out how to get these guys down and onto a Substack environment and create a little bit more structure out of it, I'll let everybody know.
All right. Well, you guys take care. Please give us a like, share the video. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Bye.